Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Pub chat this time, yeah. So we're back at it again. Pub chat, we're bringing it back. We're doing it.
That's
again.
Right. Well, I don't know about bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
We're never went away.
We're taking it back. So yeah, welcome to the pub chat. This is our sort of short form little catch up update thing. Normally we get listener question and then a little bit of story and then magic and media. And I honestly, I don't know what we have to talk about today. So we're going to get right into that. If you're listening to this on your podcast network of choice, don't forget to like this video or leave a review because you're on a podcast network. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. So let's get right into it. What is our listener question of the day?
Yeah, so because we skipped the last pub chat for work-life balance, shall we say. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of changes happening in our personal life here. We kind of skipped there and I didn't really have a listener question, but I see this question all the time on social media. If for those of you that are our regular listeners, all 7 of you, you know that I talk about being on Reddit. So I usually source these questions from Reddit, from r/witch or witchcraft or baby witch, and I see all the time people asking if they've been cursed or hexed. I just tried to make that into one word. Glorious. Cursed. Although I feel like hearse is different. That's like what happens after you die.
That's just when you're dead. Yeah,
that's just
you
when
put
you're
in
dead.
hearse. You're hearse.
So a lot of people will basically pose a question and say, all of these things are going wrong in my life. Have I been hexed? Have I been cursed? Or I think I've been hexed. I think I've been cursed. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk about this one because there are so many people that talk about this, and it's actually not that hard to determine whether or not you've been hexed or cursed. And also, here's the TLDR answer. You probably haven't been hexed or cursed. It can be easy to think that you've been hexed or that you've been cursed. Whether you're saying that jokingly or whether you're really saying that, bad things happen in people's lives, and bad things sometimes repeatedly happen in people's lives for a variety of different reasons. And you may feel like something or someone is against you. So that's not to say that people haven't been cursed ever, but it's pretty unlikely that you, dear listener, have actually been cursed. So if you've kind of got this thought in your mind more than just a joke, you want to determine whether or not you've been cursed, there's a couple of things that you can do to sort of decide and figure it out. So first of all, you're going to want to ask yourself, what happened to make you think that you've been cursed? And when I'm saying ask yourselves these questions, it's a really good idea to write this stuff down or type it out or whatever. Just don't do this whole conversation only in your head, because as someone who is a serial overthinker, it's very easy to get yourself into a loop. Whereas if you're writing this down or you're typing it out, you're saving your notes on your phone or whatever on a piece of paper, then it's easier for you to come back and look at it and then decide, wow, I was way off. Jeez. So anyway, ask yourself, what exactly has happened that makes you feel like you've been cursed? Put a timeline on this, not my whole life things have been bad, regardless of how you feel. Put a time frame on it. Since last month, I've blank, or this week, these things have happened. Boom, boom, boom. But also, you need to make a list of the good things that have happened in that same time frame. So really what you're looking at is you're looking at a pros cons list. So you're looking at curses and blessings, basically. So, if your car broke down and, you got sick, those are 2 things in your curses list. But if you also got a raise at work or found a $20 bill on the ground, those go in your blessings list. So it's the purpose is not to make them balance, but the purpose is to really objectively think about what's going on. So next, why exactly do you think you've been cursed? So just having bad things happen to you is not an indicator that you've been hexed, is not an indicator that you've been cursed. Is somebody angry at you? Have you like crossed someone? Is there someone in your life that seems to have it out for you? And if there is, who would have cursed you? So, do you think this person is able to curse you, or they would be motivated to send bad energy at you? And also, just because you assume that somebody practices witchcraft doesn't mean that they do, first of all, but it also doesn't mean that they will actually curse or hex someone. There's a lot of paths and a lot of beliefs that people have that forbid negative type of magic. And there certainly are people who do practice this type of magic with hexing and cursing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just because you know someone who's a witch, or you got in like an internet argument with somebody who is a witch, do you really think they hexed you or cursed you? So once you've kind of written down this information, take a good long think about the answers to these questions. It's really easy to think that bad things are happening to you because somebody else willed it to be so, as opposed to that's just life. And humans are also wired to think about bad things more than good things. So it can be really easy to think that everything is going wrong for you because of the way that our brains are wired. And that's more of like an anthropological type of a thing that we're not really going to get too into here. But it basically is a survival mechanism for us as humans to think about bad things happening so that we don't basically die. So one way you can think about this is maybe reframing your thinking, writing down these bad things that are happening, coming back to it like the next day or a day after when you're in a different frame of mind to sort of relook at that and go, is this the thing that is really happening, or am I just crazy? Now, if you still think that you're cursed, or even if you maybe don't, and you just kind of want to refresh, perform a cleansing, a protection, and or a warding spell. Wait at least a week to see if it helped. At least a week. It's helpful to write down when you did it, as well as any other good or bad outcomes afterwards. We talk a lot in this podcast about using a book of shadows or like a grimoire, whatever it is that you want to use. This is a great thing to write down in that. A lot of people are like, what do I put in my book of shadows? This is a good thing to put in there. You think you've been cursed? You make those lists. And then you write down what it is that you've done. Now, as far as these cleansing and protection and warding spells, if you're interested in getting some ideas for how to do protection magic or how to write a spell, you can check out episode 12 that we did, which is an intro to protection magic. We go over some basics of protection magic, as well as give you a couple of things that you can do to protect yourself. And also episode 4, Spellcrafting 101, where we teach you basically how to write a spell and what to look for there. Another thing that you can do to determine if you've been hexed or cursed is to try to do some divination to get guidance to uncover additional information. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do divination, but if you're interested in some resources that we've put out, we did episode on Beginner's Guide to Tarot Reading. That's episode 7 that you can listen to, as well as one on casting runes, which is episode 20. So have you been hexed or cursed? Probably not.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like in all endeavors, research is the answer, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that writing it down is definitely the like correct path, with regard to that research. So, yeah, definitely keep notes of it, write it down, and don't jump to conclusions. Use the scientific method.
Yes.
It works.
Yes. And for people who are...
Also, remember Occam's razor. Sometimes
Sometimes
it's not the afoot shit. It's just like the simple shit. So
yeah. And another thing to keep in mind too is if you are friends with people who you have contentious relationships with, maybe get rid of those people from your life.
Yeah, don't have toxic people.
Don't have toxic people. Don't engage in toxic groups of people online. Certainly not all, but there are a lot of spaces in the online witchy and heathen community where there are just like our toxic people. And we talk about toxic internet witchcraft in different episodes.
It's got nothing to do specifically with like internet witchcraft stuff or anything like that. It's just that like shitty toxic people are just gonna like be in places, and you just need to make sure to like ward yourself away from those people and like not be like, don't involve them in your life and shit, you know?
Yeah.
So like just don't let those people affect you, man. Like that's not good.
Nope, not at all.
You know. So next up is story time. And we're getting started with a little Aleister Crowley.
Yeah. So there's a ton of stuff that we can talk about with Aleister Crowley. But what I want to talk about today is the phrase that probably a lot of people who dabble in the magic and occult space are familiar with, which is "do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Is this something that you've heard of?
No.
You've never heard this before?
Not even a little bit, no.
Crazy.
Yeah, 0%.
Really?
0%, no.
Huh.
Yeah. There's a huge cross-section of, like, normalized magical and pagan and, like, Wiccan and heathen culture that I'm just like, nah.
Well, I guess this is why
that seems like too much. No. No, I disagree. Whatever. Right? I mean, that's no.
Well, I guess this is one of those times where I'm the smart one and you're the pretty one, huh?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I mean, I've heard like that sounds vaguely similar to like a bunch of shit that I've heard within that like particular realm of like weird sayings like that. And I know like vaguely a little bit about Aleister Crowley, but I got nothing going into this. So
all right. Well, then let me
or maybe I know all of this and I'm lying.
It's definitely not that one.
It's not that.
No, it's definitely not that one. So, in 1904, Aleister Crowley and his then wife, Rose Edith Kelly, arrived in Cairo, Egypt. And they pretended to be royalty. So they got set up in a lavish apartment and started to study Egyptian and Islamic magic. Eventually, Aleister Crowley heard a voice that claimed to be Aiwass, the messenger of Horus. And Aleister Crowley wrote down everything that voice said, and he called the resultant book the Book of the Law. The book proclaimed that we were entering a new era and that Crowley was to be the prophet of this new era. This is where this phrase actually comes from. And the book became the cornerstone of Thelema, which is an occult and is like an occult discipline, or I don't know that I'd go so far as to call it a religion, but there are certainly some people who treat it as such. It is a belief system for sure. And he encouraged people to live in harmony with their will. Even though Aleister Crowley wrote everything down, he didn't do everything the voice asked him to do, though, because this voice, among other things, told him to steal an ancient Egyptian artifact from a museum in Cairo, fortify his own island, and then translate the book that Aiwass told him to into all of the world's languages.
Well, okay, this is what I'm going to say. I mean, stealing something from Egypt, I feel like Europe been doing that for a while, so all right. But fortify his own island. Crowley's English, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I guess like fortify England. I mean, it was pre-World War I. I guess that kind of might make sense. I don't know. Or was he asking him to buy his own island and then turn it into a fort? That seems like more work.
That seems like to me like what it would have been.
Oh, I would have assumed
like,
that it implied fort, the island of the
make
UK.
A fort, translate a book.
Yeah.
Step 1, cut a hole in the box.
Yeah.
So in this book is where that phrase "do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law" comes from. And it's actually a really interesting perspective because we know from previous pub chats, as well as some of the full-length episodes where we've talked about Wicca and Gerald Gardner, that he based a lot of Wicca on Aleister Crowley's work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Doreen Valiente came around and started sort of rewriting things and combining like his actual historical research with this stuff that it kind of morphed. So this is where we kind of get that difference between the occult side of things and then the sort of spiritual side of things, really is the way that I'm looking at, is that really you can look at this phrase, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, kind of as like a cornerstone guiding path of modern magic. Because even though we have things like the threefold law, which is very common, even though it is something that is really just Wiccans that you know,
like hold it up
and
sure,
like sort of brought it to being
sure,
popular. This really, I think, is something that as modern people who are pagans practicing magic should look more at, because we put a lot of rules on and a lot of gatekeeping into these systems, and I think that do what you want to do is probably the best way to look at magic.
Well, I wonder what the context around that quote is. Like, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Like, sounds reasonable. Like, hey, do what you want, man. It's like your practice. That sounds great. But like, also maybe like it's being taken out of place.
Yeah.
In like his book, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not uncommon. So, that's quite interesting. Aleister Crowley is like a fever dream historically.
You have no idea, dude.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to more Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, and we will talk a lot more about different facets of Aleister Crowley. We probably will have like a biography kind of episode on him, but I am certainly not quite there yet because there's a ton of research that I have to do on him to sort of get to there. So we're just kind of taking short little snippets about things. And next time we're going to talk a little bit about Rasputin and his magical stuff.
Weird Rasputin.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Yeah.
Just weird. So that's exciting. I know quite a bit more about Rasputin.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what we're doing there.
Yeah, so that's going to be a fun one for the next pub chat that we're going to be talking about. And normally next we do magic and media, but we have had a ton of stuff going on in our personal life with some changing of jobs and restructuring things with our Etsy shop and our social media, as well as like other stuff going on in our personal life, and we haven't really had time to watch anything that has magic in it. We have been barely keeping up with YouTube videos to watch.
We just watched The Kingsman before recording this, and
that's true.
There's a non-zero chance that Rasputin had magic powers in this.
He definitely did.
Because he took that dude's mind.
And he...
Well, I mean, the throwing up the cake thing could have just been like...
And he licked his leg wound.
Well, I don't know if that's magic. That's just crazy, man.
Yeah. But that's the first movie that we've been able to watch in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so we don't really have a whole lot to talk about in magic and media. But we do want to talk about something cool that's part of this stuff that's been going on in our life.
Yeah.
And that's for those of you who live in California, especially Northern California. If you're familiar with anime conventions, in particular Fanime, which comes to the San Jose Convention Center.
The McHenry Convention Center. We've been accepted to host a panel this year at Fanime. So we will be recording, be doing a live recording of that episode of the podcast, which is the end of May. And on that episode, we're going to do magic in anime. So we're going to specifically focus on 5 different anime and the different way that they sort of use magical systems to facilitate the storytelling in anime. I'm a big anime fan. I watch probably too much anime. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be really interesting. About half the shows that we have to watch, I have seen either part or all the way through. And then there's a couple of shows that I have not seen at all. So that'll be interesting. We're taking detailed notes on the shows and compiling that podcast. So yeah, if you are attending Fanime Con 2022, the Horn and Cauldron podcast will have a panel there, so we hope to see you there, and we'll bring this up again in the as
tentatively it looks like we're going to be doing a Saturday evening.
Tentatively
Saturday
it's going to be a
evening.
Saturday evening sort of a thing, so that should be really great. We're also going to, on our YouTube channel, be doing like little reviews of these anime episodes in preparation for this podcast episode, this like live podcast episode recording panel thing. But also, what was I gonna say? We'll be like taking we should have some time booked in there to do some like questions from the floor. And I'm going to put together a PowerPoint presentation because I fucking love PowerPoint presentations. I'm going to put together a PowerPoint presentation to coincide with this, podcast episode. So the episode will be like an episode, like that's whatever. But if you watch the episode on YouTube, or you're able to make it and attend the panel, it's going to be like, there's going to be like visual aids.
Aside from just looking at our faces.
Yeah. Maybe a meme or two.
Ooh, memes.
Yeah, maybe a meme or two. Yeah. So that's going to be, we're pretty excited about that.
We're very excited.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
We're
very much looking forward to it.
But we've given ourselves a little bit more time and taken a little pressure off and, kind of refocusing on a bunch of stuff and, changing jobs and such. So it's a busy time, to say the least.
That's right.
So if you do want to keep up with us and all the adventures and all of that kind of stuff, you can hit us up on our social media. There links for all that shit is down below. Or you can go to nerdjive.com/links, and all of our links are there. I'm at nerdjive on everything. She's at Goddess Jules on everything. So we do a bunch of stuff like that. If you want like little tidbits of like magical stuff, check out Julie's TikTok. That's where those happen. Or Instagram. I mostly do like shop stuff, and I'm real bad with TikTok, man. I'm not there. I'm not there, man. I'm too old.
Okay.
I don't get it.
I'm there. I'm there.
I don't understand you dang kids, and you're walking on my lawn and whatnot.
We've also been doing a lot of work on our Etsy shop. For any of you that have not heard us talk about this before, we have an Etsy shop where we have a bunch of tie-dye stuff. We have some witchy and heathen items. There's even some Horn and Cauldron swag on there.
We got some podcast swag on there.
But our main business there is hand-dyed embroidery floss, and it's really, really cool. And we just started doing color sets, so we've got some rainbow sets up in there, and we're actually working on some stuff like
starter kits to get you going that include all the stuff needed, like gift box style sort of thing. So just stay tuned for more of that kind of stuff. Thank you for listening and all that. I'd like to thank our patrons, Alan, Miranda, Alexa, Helena, Jeff, and Adrian. You guys are awesome, and you keep us motivated to do this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Knowing that we got dope people out there like that. Yes, I know that I am too Book of Shadows pages behind. I'm gonna get those done. I'm gonna get those done tomorrow, so that's not gonna be an issue. But bam.
But thank you for helping us do what we do, and helping better us every time. And we got some upcoming episodes too, right?
Yeah. The next full-length podcast episode is episode 36, coming out on the 11th, and that'll be on technomancy, which is the use of technology in magic.
That's right.
I have bold opinions on this stuff. So, absolute facts. I have absolute facts, no fake news. So that'll be interesting because I don't know what research or studies she has, she's accomplishing, like always. I am as, on the adventure of learning this shit as you guys are. And then, after that, we have episode 7 of our pub chat, which will come out on the 18th of the month. And there's got to be some Star Trek sprinkled in there and some other stuff sprinkled in there. So, just stick around and all that. If you're listening to this on your podcast network of choice, don't forget to leave us a review. That's how we can know that other people are listening. And you know, if you reach out to us on, leave a comment or reach out to us on social, we'll give you a number, because right now we're at 7.
Yeah.
And
maybe we'll give you a random number too. Who knows?
Who knows?
Perhaps you'll get letters also.
There's no way that I'm gonna remember any of the details of this. It's like what was that Drew Carey game show where the points didn't count and nothing mattered?
Oh, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how real life works now. So yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. Either way, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast pub chat, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. Stay magical, folks.
Yeah, and don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.